Right, those who joining online, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, so we'll continue the discussion on financial statement analysis, what we started last week. So there we discuss financial statement analysis. We can use different tools like identifying the trend analysis. Common size analysis, you can convert different size financial statement into common size. There are so many, right? And the ratio. In this course, we focus on the ratios, right? So we'll discuss basically accounting ratios. Right. Then, so we started the discussion of accounting ratios. There you should know what is meant by a ratio. Right? That means formula you should know the formula. Right? How to calculate a ratio. Then, how do you interpret the change in ratio? Compared with the last year, some ratio increased favorable, some ratio decreased favorable. So you should know whether increase of a ratio is favorable or unfavorable. Now, last week we discussed gross profit margin. Last year 40%, say this year 42%. So that increase is favorable. Then certain ratios, there are norms. That means you can't say increase favorable or decrease favorable. Instead, you have to compare it with the norm. Generally accepted level of ratio, so you compare with that. Then you should know what are the limitation of accounting ratios. Even though we are using accounting ratios, should know the limitations. Right. So then we discuss the types of ratios: profitability, liquidity, working capital, financial stability, and investors ratio. Ratios වලට පහ අපි කතා කරනවා. From that, we started with the profitability ratio. Profitability ratio measures profit earning ability. Profit earning ability. So එතන අපි ratios 4ක් කතා කරා: gross profit margin, net profit margin, return on equity, return on asset. And we had the activity answer. So we made the calculation: gross profit margin, gross profit divided by sales as a percentage. Net profit margin, net profit divided by sales. So gross profit we take from the statement of profit and loss for the entire year, sales revenue for the entire year. So we take as it. But when it's come to return on equity, net profit for the year, total equity end of the year. So the two values are not matching with each other. Profit for the year, equity as at end of the year. So you want to convert this equity also. What is the equity for the year? Average equity. So we take the average total equity by adding opening and closing equity divided by 2. Right? So always when one value take from statement of profit and loss, other value take from statement of financial position, you have to convert the statement of financial position value into the average, annual average. If both values taken from statement of profit and loss, no issue. If both value taken from statement of financial position, then again no issue. Right? Both end of the year. Here one for the year, other one end of the year. Then end of the year value you need to convert into annual average. That is very simple. Opening and closing values divide by 2. We take simple average. Right. So we finish this part. Gross profit margin, net profit margin, return on equity, and return on asset. So today, when we had this activity, today we are moving to the next ratio, liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratios measures the business's ability of settling short-term liabilities and current liabilities. How well business can settle their short-term liabilities, current liabilities. That is what measured by liquidity ratio. There are two liquidity ratios, current ratio and quick asset ratio. This is also called quick ratio, or this is also called acid test ratio. Right? Right. Different names. So we'll first take current ratio. This is something you're familiar with. Current ratio measure the adequacy of current asset to settle current liabilities. So here current asset divided by current liability. We don't multiply it by 100. So you are getting a rupee value back. Say current asset 10 million. Or we'll say current asset 15 million, current liability 10 million. Then your answer is 1.5. That means to settle 1 million current asset or 10 million current asset, current liability, we have 15 million current asset. Right? Assume that our current asset 15 million, current liability 10 million. To settle 1 million, 10 million current liability, we have 15 million current asset. That means to settle 1 rupee current liability, we have 1 rupee and 50 cents worth current asset. That is what this ratio is. To settle 1 rupee current liability, how much current asset available? So you just take current asset divided by current liability, you can keep it for 2 decimals, rupee and cents. Right? There are current asset, current liability වලින් බෙදපුවා වෙන උත්තරේ දශම ස්ථාන දෙකකට අපි තියෙනවා. තර රුපියල් කොච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙන එක රුපියලක liability settle කරන්න current liability settle කරන්න කොච්චර current asset තියෙනවා. 15 million asset 10 million liability ලා රුපියල current liability settle කරන්න 1.50 current asset තියෙනවා. දැන් මෙතනදී you can't say increase favorable or decrease favorable. We have norms. Right? The norms here. හේතුව තමයි you take few examples. Right? I'm taking 4 businesses. Current ratio 0.75. What that means? To settle 1 rupee current liability, we have 75 cents current asset. Right? Or someone can present this 0.75 to 1. How much can liability කියන එක පෙන්නනවා. Right? To settle 1 rupee current liability, we have 75 cents current asset. ඔය ක්‍රම දෙකකින් ඕන එකට කියන්න පුළුවන්. Right? It's make it easier 75. Now, when you look at this scenario, what can you say about this business's ability of settling current liability? They are facing some problems to settle 1 rupee current liability. They have only 75 cents. Right? The current liability එක settle කරන්න ප්‍රමාණවත් asset එකවල ළඟ නැහැ. එතන අපිට කියනවා මේගොල්ලෝ liquidity problem. If the current ratio 1, still we say we have a problem. Reason is now one can think, okay, to settle 1 rupee current liability, we have 1 rupee current asset. So no problem. No, we have a problem here. The reason is current asset include inventories. You can't convert inventory to cash suddenly because normally most of the businesses, they make sales on credit term, right? Nowadays, most of the transactions are credit. So when you sell inventory, it won't convert into cash, it convert into debtors. Then it takes some time to convert into cash. So if you have 10 million current asset to settle 10 million current liability, you are not selling. So both scenarios you can identify. Company face liquidity issues. So this is not recommended level. මේක recommended තත්වයක නැහැ. මේ අවස්ථා දෙකේදී. We don't say this is good. ඊළඟට අපි හිතමු current ratio කියනවා 4 කියලා. 4. To say what is mean to settle 1 rupee current liability, we have 4 rupee worth current asset. Company D1, right? දැන් ලියා ගන්න මම දෙන්නම් time, right? Just follow. So when you have 4 current ratio 4, that means to settle 1 rupee current asset, you have 4 rupee worth current liability. That means will company face a liquidity issues? No liquidity issue, right? To settle 1 rupee current liability, you have 4 rupee worth current asset. No liquidity issue. But still this is not recommended because business can have a large amount of cash balance in bank current account and maintain a very high current ratio. But you will not get any benefit out of it, right? So you can increase the, you can have the very large stock, but you are going to sell for the next entire 12 months period, you purchase at once, and you can maintain very high current ratio. So very high current ratio doesn't mean that good strategy for a business. You are unnecessarily investing money in current asset, which will not give much return. Right? So current ratio, you should have a balance. You should keep current asset that is adequate to settle current liability to run the business smooth. So this one, yes, company will not face liquidity issues, but this is unnecessary investment in current asset, not recommended. That is why we say current ratio around 2 to settle 1 rupee current liability. You have 2 rupee worth current asset. So this one company will not face liquidity issue and no unnecessary investment in current assets. This is the recommended level. Generally accepted best level, that is current ratio around. Right? The current ratio, then my companies හතරක ගත්තේ current ratio of 4 companies A, B, C, D. So A and B company face liquidity problem because you don't have enough asset to settle liability. So that is not recommended. If it is very high above, very high, still not recommended. Even though no liquidity issue, unnecessary you are keeping current assets. Right? So you better invest that in a long-term bond or something, right? So you can get much return rather than keeping it as a current asset like cash or investment. So that is why generally we say that 2 is the acceptable level, right? Behind this under the current ratio. Plus. Right? So this is about the current ratio. Current ratio measures the business's ability of settling short-term liabilities when it is due. So current ratio, you can't say increase favorable or decrease favorable. Because now just take for an example, the business current ratio 2023 and 22. Right. You have current ratio. Now last year 1.2, this year 1.8. Now current ratio has increased from 1.2 to 1.8. So in this scenario, change is in place. Now this increase is favorable or unfavorable? What can you say? Now we compare with the norm. The norm is general accepted level is 2. So last year 1.2, this year 1.8, increase towards the norm. So this is favorable. This way. Right? Increase level. Another scenario, right? Current ratio of company හතරක් A, B, C and D. Right? 4 companies current. තව company එකක් තියෙනවා. Last year 2.1, this year 3.1. Now also change is increase. What is your observation? Is it favorable or unfavorable? This time it is unfavorable, right? Because it was at the norm. Now it's increased further. So it is unnecessary investment in current assets. That is the interesting thing here. Now, you have increased current ratio. 2 company, 1 company increase become favorable, other company increase become unfavorable. That is why you have to compare with the norm. Right? The profitability ratios now right? Straightforward. Increase favorable, decrease unfavorable. Profit earning ability increase. But when it's come to current ratio, you have to compare it against the norm. Right? Norm is 2. Right. We'll take another one. Last year 1.9. This year 1.5. Now you have decrease. This decrease is favorable or unfavorable? This is unfavorable, right? Last year it was more close to 2. Now it is going away from 2. Right? That you have to compare whether it is moving towards the norm or moving away from. That is how you should interpret it. If the ratio moving towards the general accepted level, that is favorable. If it is moving away, unfavorable. Increase වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්, decrease වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. Right? මේක මම බලනවා, right? 3.1 තිබිලා 2.1. Now decrease. But this decrease is now favorable. You are moving towards the norm. Right? අපි බලන්න ඕනේ norm එකත් එක්ක. What is the best level this ratio expect? මේක හරි සරලයි. අපි නිකන් ගමු මේ සාමාන්‍ය වෙන කතාවක්. ඒ කියන්නේ blood sugar level එක. blood sugar level එකට norm එකක් තියෙනවා නේ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් නිරෝගී පුද්ගලයෙක්ගේ blood sugar level එක 100 120 range එක වගේ තියෙනවා. ඕක 200 වුණොත් ඒත් හොඳ නැහැ. ඕක 50 වුණොත් ඒත් හොඳ නැහැ. right? වැඩි වුණොත් high blood sugar වෙනවා, අඩු වුණොත් low blood sugar. Blood pressure එක ගත්තත් ඒත් තියෙනවා. So there are certain things, there are norms, accepted level. So you should be close to that level. If you are moving away, that is also adverse. Below, that also adverse. Right? Moving away නම් වැඩි දණු ගදාලා නැහැ. Adverse. The current ratio එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? So here you see traditionally, current ratio of 2:1 is considered as appropriate for a business. But you should understand as accounting student, this 2:1 is not applicable for all the businesses. Right? This current ratio is highly industry specific. There are certain industries, the ideal current ratio is not 2. Like 2:1 again, give the 2 here. Generally 2, okay. But if you take businesses like supermarkets, buying and selling businesses, their current asset converting to cash very faster than normal manufacturing business. So because of that, if you take businesses like supermarkets, retail industry, their current ratio sometimes around 1. 1 may be the norm. Right? So current ratio traditionally 2, but the ideal norm is the industry average. Right? Industry average. ඔගොල්ලෝ එක දැනගෙන තියාගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ practically මේක apply කරන්න ගියාම හැමතැනම truth එක බලන්න බෑ. එතනදී බලන්න ඕනේ මේ අදාළ industry එකේ average එක. Right? Industry average is the norm. So industry average 1.5 නම් norm එක 1.5. Industry average එක 2.5 නම් norm එක 2.5. Industry average එක 1 නම් norm එක 1. Right? When you don't have industry average, අපි ගාණක් දෙනකොට අපිට පුත් එහෙම කියන්නේ නැහැ. Then you go ahead with the 2 as the norm. Right? Got the one? So දැන් මෙතනත් අපි මේ 2 කියන norm එක base කරගෙන තමයි මේ increase decrease favorable unfavorable කියලා හදන්නේ. Fourth one margin. Fourth one should be 3.1 decrease 2.1. Right? Take the other. So decrease 7. It was well above 2. Now moving towards the norm. This current range. But the problem in the current ratio, right? We say norm 2. Current ratio, normally we have to take this norm 2 also, because current asset include inventory that take relatively longer period to convert into cash, not like the debtors or cash and bank balance. So total current asset include inventory that take longer period to convert into cash. In addition to that, current asset includes some prepayments, advance prepayment. Next year, rent paid in advance by this year. That actually will not be made available for liability settlement. You will not convert them into cash. Even though it's a current asset, you can't use prepayment for liability settlement. Right? අයි අපි ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දේ බිලින් එකේ මාස 6ක rent එක කලින් ගෙවනවා. ඒතර ඒකේ අපි current asset එකක් වෙන ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දේ මාස 6ක් අපි rent ගෙවන්නත් පාවිච්චි කරන්න. Economic benefit එකක්. But you can't use it for liability settlement. Right? So because of this, we have other ratio called quick ratio. මේකට අපි කියනවා acid test ratio කියලා. Acid test. Right? Current ratio වෙනුවට අපි පාවිච්චි කරන quick ratio. From the current asset we remove inventory and prepaid. Then you are basically having receivables, cash and bank balances. So those assets we call quick asset. Right? Adequacy of quick asset from the current asset, when you leave out inventory and prepayment, remaining current assets called quick asset. To settle 1 rupee current liability, how much quick asset available? That 1 rupee current liability, if you have quick asset, 1 rupee, that is adequate. Right? Because we have leave out the inventory and prepayment. එතකොට current asset වලින් inventory prepayment අයින් කරාම ඉතිරි asset liability රුපියලක් settle කරන්න මේ quick asset රුපියලක් තියෙනවනේ okay. එතන norm එක 1. ඒකට ඒකත් අර ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි අනුව වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. right? උදාහරණයකට දැන් සුපර් මාකට් වල කරන්ට් රේෂියෝ 1 නම් ක්වික් රේෂියෝ 0.4 වගේ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නේ? මොකද ඒගොල්ලන් ඉන්වෙන්ටරි කියන එක fast moving. right? ලොකු ස්ටොක් එකක් ඉන්වෙන්ටරි තියෙනවා. ඉන්වෙන්ටරි අයින් කරා ක්වික් රේෂියෝ එක අඩු වෙනවා. right? But general examination context, right? When you don't have the industry average and all, you go ahead the norm for current ratio 2, norm for quick ratio 1. Right. Then we have working capital management ratios. WIC, working capital. The working capital management ratios measures how efficiently business manage their current asset and current liability. Managing current asset and current liability. How efficiently business manage their current asset and current liability. Working capital. Working capital කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම current asset and current liability. Right. ඒ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ finance වලදී කතා කරනවා right. මේ හැවිත finance subject right. Current asset called gross working capital. Current asset minus current liability called net working capital. Right. So these working capital ratios measures the efficiency of managing current asset and current liability. So we have 6 ratios there. Inventory turnover, inventory residence period, debtors turnover, debtors collection period, creditors turnover, creditors payment period. The inventory turnover measures the number of times that average inventories of the business converted into sales during the year. Average inventory අවුරුද්දක් ඇතුළත වාර කීයක් විකිරෙනවද? then අපි ඔක හොයනවා cost of sales divided by average inventory. Average inventory we take opening inventory, closing inventory divided by 2. Because cost of sales for the year, closing inventory end of the year. So අවුරුද්ද පුරා තිබ්බ inventory එක අපි ගන්නවා simple average. Opening and closing divided by 2. So what can you say about this ratio? Increase favorable or decrease favorable? Yeah, අවුරුද්දේ inventory turnover 10 times. මේක අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන්නේ times. Right? How many times inventory converted into sales? Inventory වගේ 10 ගුණයක sales තියෙනවා. මේ අවුරුද්දේ 12 times වෙලා තියෙනවා. Increase. Favorable or unfavorable? ඒක සාමාන්‍ය business එකක් පැත්තෙන් හිතන්න. ස්ටොක් එක වගේ අවුරුද්දකට 10 සැරයක් පුරන එකද හොඳ? 15 සැරයක් පුරන එකද හොඳ? Yes. Increase favorable or unfavorable? Favorable, right? තියෙන ස්ටොක් එක වගේ වැඩි වාර ගණනක් පුරනවා කියන්නේ you are converting inventory faster into sales. ඉක්මනට inventory එක විකුණනවා කියන්නේ හොඳයි business එක. Right? So this ratio increase favorable. The same ratio we can look at the other way. That is called inventory resident period. There we measure the average number of days that inventory is held in the business before it is sold. In other words, how long it will take to convert inventory into sales. Business එකේ inventory ගෙනාවම විකුණන්න කොච්චර කාලයක් යනවද? Number of days that takes to convert inventory into sales. ඒක අපිට හොයන්න පුළුවන් අර ඒ කලින් ෆෝමියුලා එක උඩට මාරු කරනවා. මෙතන ගත්තේ cost of sales divided by average inventory. එතන ගන්නවා average inventory divided by cost of sales into 365 days. දින ගන්න හොයන. එහෙම නැත්නම් 365 days divided by, if you have already calculated the inventory turnover, the easiest way is 365 days divided by inventory turnover. Inventory turnover හොයාගත්තා නම් 365 days බෙදනවා inventory turnover. එතකොට අපි හිතමු right. Inventory turnover එක ගිය අවුරුද්දේ 10යි කියන්නේ 365 divided by 10 approximately 36.5 37 days. And 37 days it takes to convert inventory into sales. මේ අවුරුද්ද අපි හිතමු 15 වෙලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ. Right. So 365 divided by 50. 24 days. So inventory turnover increase favorable. When the inventory turnover increases, inventory resident period decreases. Last year it took 37 days to convert inventory into sales. This year, within 24 days, we can convert. Favorable or unfavorable? යවුරුදු දවස් 37ක් ගියා ඉන්වෙන්ටරි විකුණන්න. මේ අවුරුදු දවස් 24න් විකුණනවා. It is favorable if you can sell inventory faster. Favorable, right? එතකොට මේකම කතාව තමයි විදි දෙකකින් හොයන්නේ. ඉන්වෙන්ටරි turnover එකෙන් බැලුවොත් turnover higher means converting more times inventory into sales. That is favorable. When the turnover increases, resident period decreases. The number of days that takes to convert inventory into sales. Right? So if you can reduce the number of days, decrease of this ratio favorable. This is why I told you not all ratio increase favorable. Right? අපි interpretation එක දැනගන්න. සමහර ratio වැඩි වෙන එක හොඳයි, සමහර ratio අඩු වෙන එක හොඳයි. Right? Probability ratio ඔක්කොම වැඩි වෙන එක හොඳයි. Current ratio, quick ratio අඩු වැඩි වෙන එක නෙමෙයි norm එකක් තියෙන්නේ. Inventory turnover increase favorable. Inventory resident period decrease favorable. Faster you can sell is better. දැන් inventory turnover එක වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ inventory ඉක්මනට විකුණනවා කියන්නේ. Resident period එක අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ inventory ඉක්මනට විකුණනවා. Right? Got it? ඒ වගේම තියෙනවා debtors turnover. Debtors turnover. Debtors turnover, credit sales divided by average debtors. How many times of average debtors represented in your credit sales? So when the business make credit sales, what is favorable to business? Having a very high trade creditors or having low trade creditors on average. මේක තේරුම් ගන්න ලේසි විදිහට අපිට business දෙකක් තියෙනවා. Business A and B. Right? A and B කියලා business දෙකක් තියෙනවා. අපිට දීලා තියෙනවා debtors turnover. Debtors turnover කලින් debtors turnover මේගොල්ලන්ගේ 10යි මේගොල්ලන්ගේ 5යි. Right? Debtors 10 and 5. මේ debtors turnover හොයන්නේ credit sales divided by average debtors. දැන් මම මේක තේරෙන්න මම මේකට figures substitute කරනවා. අපි දෝ credit sales දෙගොල්ලන්ගේම 100 million තියෙනවා. Both businesses make 100 million credit sales. මේගොල්ලන්ගේ average debtors 10යි. මේගොල්ලන්ගේ average debtors 20යි. දැන් මේක නොසලකා හැරලා. ඔයාලා මෙන්න මේ figures දෙක දිහා බලලා decide කරන්න පුළුවන් what is favorable. When you make 10 million credit sales during the business, one business having 20 million debtors, another business having only 10 million debtors on average. So when you make credit sales, what business want to do? Maintaining high amount of debtors or collecting as much as cash and having low amount of debtors? Business එකක් බලාපොරොත්තු ආම පුළුවන් තරම් වැඩිපුර debtors තියාගන්නද නැත්නම් පුළුවන් තරම් අඩු වෙන debtors තියාගන්න. අඩු වෙන debtors තියාගන්න. අඩු වෙන debtors තියාගන්නවා කියන්නේ වැඩි. ණයට විකුණන එකේ සල්ලි ටික collect කරගෙන. right? තව business එකක් ඕන නම් මේ C කියලා ගත්තා. ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ විදිහටම 100 million sale කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන් 50 million debtors. They make 100 million sales and they have 50 million debtors. So they are debtors turnover 2. Okay. So what do you think? Now you can see higher the debtors turnover favorable or unfavorable. Then debtors turnover වැඩි වෙන එක හොඳ අඩු වෙන එක හොඳ. වැඩි වෙන එක හොඳයි. Right? Similar to the inventory turnover. Right? Higher the debtors turnover better. Right? Right. So you can see that when the debtors turnover increases, that means I'm taking the same level of credit sales, but how many average debtors maintained by the business, just for an example. So you can see that when the average debtor increases, debtors turnover decreases, so that is unfavorable. So comparatively, higher debtors turnover is favorable. Then, now when we are analyzing this financial statement, we learn this in financial accounting subject of this financial. So in financial reporting, we take external stakeholders' perspective. You may be an investor, right? Shareholder. So you will not have actually this credit sales value. We are having only the financial state. Right? So the debtors turnover can correctly calculate internally. Management accounting purpose, business knows that how much credit sales, how much cash. But that information is not made available for external users. So we have only the total sales. Then we make simple assumption. All sales made on credit. So accuracy of this ratio will depend on that accuracy of that assumption. Right? When you are using annual report and calculate this, no other way to find the credit sales. The business sector, ඔක්කොම sales credit කියන basis එකෙන් තමයි අපිට calculate කරන්න බෑ. Because you don't have credit and cash information in the annual report. No way, right? කිසිම financial statement එකකින් හොයන්න බෑ. Cash flow statement එකකින්වත් හොයන්න බෑ. Right? You don't have the you have the collection from customers total. Right? You don't have the credit sales and the cash sales. So we assume all sales made on. Then the same ratio, like the debtors turnover, we take the debtors inventory turnover. We look at the other way, that inventory resident period. Debtors turnover. The other way is debtors collection period. How long it will take to collect cash from debtors? The average time that takes to, average number of days that takes to collect cash from debtors. අපිට පුළුවන් වුණා අර ෆෝමියුලා එක උඩට මාරු කරන්න. Average debtors divided by credit sales into 365 days. For the simple scenario, you take the 365 days, divide by already calculated debtors term. Now, what about this ratio? Increase favorable or decrease favorable? Average number of days that takes to collect cash from debtors. Last year it took 45 days. This year we collect from 30 days. Decrease. Favorable or unfavorable? Decrease. Favorable. ඉක්මනට cash ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් debtors ළඟින් ඒක තමයි වාසි. හරි. ඒතර මේ ratio එක වැඩි වෙන එක හොඳයි. අඩු වෙන එක හොඳයි. Decrease favorable. Then we have creditors turnover. Creditors turnover, debtors turnover එක වගේම තමයි. the number of times average creditors of the business represented by credit purchase. And credit purchase. So credit purchase divided by average creditors. Average always opening and closing divided by 2. Then, right. What can you say about this one? Credit purchase divided by average creditors, right? So make up the business keeping. Creditors term. This is credit purchase divided by average creditors. Same figures, right? Credit purchase divided by average. Now, when you make credit purchase, what business like? When you make 100 million purchases and maintaining 10 million creditors, or 100 million purchase and 20 million. අපි මේ A and B compare කරමු ඉස්සෙල්ලා, right? Both companies made 100 million credit purchases. One maintained 10 million creditors, the other maintained 20 million creditors. What business would prefer? Maintaining high amount of creditors or low amount of creditors? Yes. Business එකක් කැමති පුළුවන් තරම් වැඩිපුර creditors තියාගන්න අඩුවෙන් තියාගන්න. වැඩියෙන් තියාගන්න. Why? Trade creditors means interest-free source of financing. Right? So if the supplier is giving you more credit period, right? So you will accumulate the creditors. It is opposite of the debtors. Debtors ලා තියාගන්න කැමති නැහැ. අපි ඉක්මනට සල්ලි හම්බ වෙන තරමට හොඳයි. Creditors ලා පුළුවන් තරම් වැඩි කරගන්න business එක කැමති, right? Because the increase of creditors relative to the purchases means you are getting more credit from your suppliers. That is favorable. That means creditors turnover increase is favorable or unfavorable? Creditors ලා අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ creditors ලා අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ මේක turnover එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Turnover එක වැඩි වෙන එක unfavorable. Right? So creditors turnover increase unfavorable, decrease favorable. Right? Creditors turnover increase unfavorable. Now, when it comes to these calculations from financial statements, right? Since we are learning this as a financial reporting perspective, so we don't have the credit purchase. Like the credit sales, we don't have credit purchase. So we can have the same assumption, all purchases made on credit. But then the problem is we don't have even purchases in the financial statement. Financial statement, we don't have purchases. So we can make a simple calculation and get approximate purchases. You know, opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock is the cost of sales. We have cost of sales in the statement of profit and loss. So you can adjust the opening and closing stock, backward calculation. So cost of sales plus closing stock minus opening stock, you can have the purchase. Right? And assume all purchases made on credit. That is how we should make this calculation. Okay. Right. So then the creditors turnover, you can take this also the other way around. That is called creditors payment period. How long business can take to settle the creditors? Creditors payment period. The average number of days business can take to settle creditors. Average number of days business can take to settle creditors. අපිට එක විදිහක් තමයි credit average creditors divided by credit purchase into 365 days. Or you just take the 365 days divided by the creditors term. Or that time අපි එක හොයන්න තියෙන නිසා turnover එක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් හොයාගත්තාම ඔය ක්‍රමයේ ලේසි. Now, creditors payment period increase favorable or decrease favorable? What is favorable? Number of days we can take to settle creditors. Increase favorable. වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ හොඳයි. Suppliers වලින් අපි ලොකු credit period එකක් අරන් තියෙනවා. You can take longer credit period from suppliers. That is favorable. Right. එහෙනම් අපි ඊළඟ activity එකට යනවා. මම activity එකට යන්න කලින් මෙන්න මේ වගේම අර වගේ කලින් කිය වගේ structure එකක් හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. මුලින්ම ගත්තේ current ratio. Current ratio, current asset divided by current liability. එක 100න් වැඩි කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඊපස්සේ අපිට මේක ඇනලයිස් කරන්න පුළුවන් current ratio increase favor වෙනස බලලා favorable ද unfavorable ද කියලා. Right. දැන් අපි කලින් ratios හතරක් කතා කරලා දෙනවා. ඒක මම මේක number 5 කියලා දානවා. Number 6, quick ratio. Quick ratio, current asset minus inventory and prepaid. Current asset, inventory, prepaid. Divide by current liability. Right. So that's enough. Ratio එක අඩුව වැඩි වීම අනුව දැන් උත්තරය අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් ඒ අනුව favorable ද unfavorable ද කියන එක decide කරන්න පුළුවන් increase the decrease the තමයි. ඊළඟ අපි ගත්තේ inventory turnover. Inventory turnover. Cost of sales divided by average inventory. එකත් බෙදන්නේ 100 වැඩි කරන්නේ නැහැ. We don't know whether it is increase or decrease. ඊළඟට තියෙනවා inventory resident period. There I will take this 365 days divide by inventory turnover. Right? My formula එක ගන්නවා මොකද right මෙතන calculation එක කරන හැටි right ඔයාලට formula එක මේ structure එකටම යන්න කියලා මම කියන්නේ right ratios එක figures දැම්ම හදාලා යන්න දී right okay then my current ratio quick ratio inventory turnover, inventory resident fee. Right. So likewise, you can have for the remaining. So I want you to attempt this activity now. This is the activity, activity 2. You have 8 ratios. Ratio 8 කියන්නේ calculation 16ක් වෙනවා last year and current year. Then you can have the table to comment. Increase or decrease, favorable, unfavorable. What we have discussed. Any conflicts? Right? Finish. You have to calculate and then the comment. Right. So shall we look at the answer? Now, current ratio, you can take current asset divided by current liability. Now we have inventory, trade receivable, cash and bank. You can add these three: 1,500, 1,700, 150. 1,500, 1,700, 150. So current asset is 3,350. The current liability, we have trade payable only 1,600. So current ratio, so you can keep for two decimals, 2.09. Last year, 1,100, 1,184. Divide by trade payable 880. 2.6. So you see that current ratio decreased from 2.6 to 2.09. So change is decrease. Now current ratio decrease towards the norm 2. So this decrease is favorable. Make a decrease උනාට මේක අපිට favorable කියලා ගන්න. right? මොකද මේ අඩු වෙන්නේ norm එක දෙසට තමයි අඩු වෙන්නේ තියෙන්නේ. right? Moving towards norm. So we can take it as favorable. Quick ratio, you can take this current asset minus inventory and prepayment. Here we don't have the prepayment, so you can deduct inventory 1,500. Right? Prepayment නැත්නම් අපිට තියෙන inventory විතරයි. Divide by current liability. Then last year, current asset minus inventory 1,100 divided by same current liability 880. So that also quick ratio also decrease. And since we don't have industry average, we go ahead with the general norm 1. So it is moving towards 1. So which is favorable. Then inventory turnover, cost of sales. We have cost of sales. Now we have sales and the gross profit. Right? So at this level, you know that difference between sales minus cost of sales, gross profit. So from the sales revenue, you deduct gross profit, the difference is the cost of sales. 16,800 minus 6,400. Divide by average inventory. Then after average inventory කරන්න නම් opening and closing inventory divide by 2. Opening inventory 1,500, closing inventory 1,500, closing opening 1,100 divide by 2, 1,300. So answer 8. Exactly 8 times. last year, to take the last year cost of sales, 19,500 minus 700. 7,000. Divide by average inventory. Now 1,100 plus 800. Sorry, 1,100, 1,400. Divide by 2. Average 1,200, 10. So 10 decreased to 8. Now inventory turnover decrease, favorable or unfavorable? Inventory turnover. Number of times inventory converted into sales. Yes. Favorable or unfavorable? This is unfavorable. Okay. Because last year business was able to sell 10 times of inventory. This year only 8 times. This is unfavorable. Calculation. Then inventory resident period, you take this 365 divide by this inventory turnover already calculated. So 365 divide by this 46. Last year 37. Number of days අපි decimal වලට යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. right? දින 37 46ට වැඩි වෙලා. So it take longer period. This inventory resident period. 46 increased to 36 increased to 37. Increase. But here increase is unfavorable. Increase unfavorable. Then debtors turnover and debtors collection period. Debtors collection period. Debtors turnover, credit sales. Divide by average debtors. $365 days divide by debtors turn. Now we don't have credit sales, but we have sales. We assume all sales made on credit 16,800. Last year 19,500. Divide by average debtors. Average debtors we have 1,700 and 1,100. Right by last year 1,100 and 800. Divide by. So you are getting 12 and 20.53 number of days. So that is decrease. Again, inventory turnover decrease unfavorable. When inventory turnover decreases, sorry, debtors turnover decrease unfavorable, debtors collection period increase. So it take longer period to collect cash from debtors again, which is unfavorable. Take the last two. So creditors turnover. Credit purchase divided by average creditors. Then creditors payment period or settlement period. 365 days divided by creditors term. So credit purchase, we have cost of sales from cost of sales 16,800. You can add back closing inventory 1,500. Deduct opening inventory 1,100. So you can have the cost of sales, right? Purchases, backward calculation. Cost of cost of sales. Cost of sales තිබුණේ 10,400 plus 1,500 minus 1,100. So credit purchase 1,800 divided by average trade payable, average creditors 1,600, 880 divided by 2. 8.71. So 365 divided by 8.71, creditors payment period 42. Last year, cost of sales 12,500 plus 1,100 closing inventory minus 1,400 opening inventory. Divide by average creditors. 880 plus 1,120. Divide by 2. So it is 12.2 decrease. This is inventory. Numbering or your current ratio in number 5. 6. 7 inventory turnover. 8 inventory resident period. 9 debtors turnover. 10 debtors collection period. 11 creditors turnover. 12 creditors payment. Now this decrease is favorable because creditors payment period increase is favorable. Creditors turnover decrease means creditors payment period increase, so we can take longer credit period from our suppliers. So that is favorable. Right? ඔයාලට පුළුවන් වෙනවා examination context එකේ මේ වගේ calculation කරලා interpretation එක අඳුරගන්න. And tomorrow we will have a classroom test, right? The test එකේදී මේ ratios වලින් එන්නේ you will be given some statements, interpretation එන්නේ, right? Should be able to evaluate it. ඒ කියන්නේ අපට පුළුවන් වෙනවා statement එක true false why. එතන statement 10. Statement 10 හරිද වැරදිද හරි නම් ඇයි වැරදි නම් නෑ සරලව ගත්තොත් right. කියන මෙතන ඔයාලට දෙනවා ratio එකක් right. Creditors business එකක ඔයාලට දෙනවා right 2021 creditors turnover 12 times, this year 9 times, which is a favorable. So, all add with the true, yes. A favorable here. Creditors turnover increase means it represents the business can take longer time to settle the creditors. Turnover වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ ඒක අනිත් පැත්ත තමයි payment period එක වැඩි වෙනවා. අඩු වෙනවා. turnover එක අඩු වෙනවා. 12 turnover increase means payment period increases. So businesses, if the business can take longer credit period to settle suppliers, so that is favorable. ඒ වගේ අපිට පුළුවන් ඉන්න ඕනේ right. මේ statement එක හරිද වැරදිද? right. හරි නම් නෙයි වැරදි නම් true false කීපට ලකුණු හම් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක 50% chance එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් true false question වල 2 3 දෙක්ද කියලා ලිව්වට statement 10ට භාගයක් ලකුණු හම් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. right. කියන්නේ ලකුණු හම් වෙන්නේ reason. True or false, your reason should be accurate. දැන් උදාහරණයක් ගත්තොත් තව එකක්. I'm going to make increase unfavorable. Inventory resident period බලන්න දෙනවා right. Last year 37, this year 46, which is a favorable. බලන්න කියන්න ඕනේ. Nonce is false. Why? The inventory resident period increase. Inventory resident period increase means it take longer time period to convert inventory to sales. So which is unfavorable to this. අනේ වගේ කෙටි ලයින් දෙකකින්ද හේතු ලියන්න තියෙන පොඩි ටෙස්ට් එකක්. right. statement 10යි ලකුණු 10යි. right. time එක අපි ඒක සාමාන්‍ය විනාඩි 20 කින් ලියන්න පුළුවන් පොඩි පන්ති ඒ ඇතුලේ right. විනාඩි 20ක් 30ක් ඒක එච්චර හොලි වෙන්න එපා right. මම ඒ වෙලාවම බලලා ඇඩ්ජස්ට්මන්ට් එකක් දෙන්නම් right. so අපි සාමාන්‍ය විනාඩි 20 30 අතර ටයිම් එකක් තමයි දෙන්නේ ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එක කර විනාඩි 2ක් 3ක් maximum right. 30 minutes. okay. end semester exam එකේ ලකුණු 10කට තියෙනවා. formulas දෙන්නේ නැහැ. right. formulas දෙන්නේ නැහැ. formulas මොකද තියෙන්නේ?
ඒක based online. then exam paper based online. head exam එක paper based එකක්ද මේ LMS එකේ?
නෑ හෙට exam එක මෙහෙමයි. හෙට exam එක අපි පන්තිය තියෙනවා right. ඒකට online ඉන්න කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවනේ. ඒකට ඒගොල්ලන්ට මම කැමරා ඔන් කරන්න කියලා ඒගොල්ලොත් ඒ වෙලේ ලියන්න ඕනේ. මම link එක online එකට print දෙන්න බැරි නිසා LMS link එකක් දාන්න. ඔයාලට ඕනනම් පුළුවන් ඔයාලා ලියන එක ෆොටෝ එකක් ගහලා device එකකින් LMS එකට දාන්නත් පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් ඔයාලට කැමති නම් ඒ කොලේ මම මට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඒක ගන්නත් පුළුවන් right. කොහොම හරි either through LMS or hand or the statement එක අතින් ලියන්න තියෙන්නේ right. ඒ වෙලේ statement එක මම ඒ වෙලේ තමයි දාන්නේ right. screen එක share කරනවා ටික ඒක බලාගෙන ඉතර ටික ලියුවා right. ෆොටෝ එකක් ගහලා ඕනනම් LMS එකට දාන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් මම තියන ඇට මට කොලේ එක ලියලා ඒක දෙන්න පුළුවන්. so those who are doing online also make sure that you join right. අපි පටන් ගන්න 8:30 නේ පොඩි ප්‍රොවිෂන් එකක් තියලා මම 9 වලට ටෙස්ට් එක පටන් ගන්නවා right. ටෙස්ට් එක ඒ වෙලේ ඔන්ලයින් කියන්නේ ඒ වෙලේ රියල් ටයිම් ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ දාන්නේ right. ඒක පරක් වෙලා ආවොත් ඒ කියන්නේ 9:30 වෙද්දී ඉවරයි ඔක්කොම right. ඊට පස්සේ අපි ඊළඟ ඩිස්කෂන් එකට යනවා. එතකොට ආයෙත් ඇටෙන්ඩ් කරන්න බෑ එක්සෑම් එක ගන්න right. that means we have to attend right. ඊට පස්සේ අපි රිවිෂන් එකක් කරනවා මොඩල් පේපර් එකක් වගේ right. එක්සෑම් එක ටාගට් කරනවා. මොකද අපිට අද මේක ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට හෙට ටෙස්ට් එකෙන් පස්සේ පොඩි මොඩල් පේපර් ඩිස්කෂන් එකක් කරන්න පුළුවන් එක්සෑම් එකට ටාගට්. now when you ask to interpret, the interpret ratio means you have to mention correctly whether it is favorable or unfavorable. right. and සමහර අය මේ interpretation වලට ලකුණු ගන්නෙම නැහැ examination context එකේ.
should we show the calculations in the answer sheet?
tomorrow වලට calculation එන්නේ නැහැ. statements එන්නේ interpretation විතරයි. exam වල calculation එනවා. දැන් මේ වගේ පොඩි කැල්කියුලේෂන් එකක් එක ඉන්ටර්ප්‍රිටේෂන් රේෂියෝ කීපයක් අපි 20ක් විතර කතා කරනවා. ඔකෙන් 5ක් විතර එන්න පුළුවන්. 5ක් හෝ 10ක් එන්න පුළුවන් ලකුණු 10ට. රයිට් ඒක එනම් රයිට් එක්ක සමහර වෙලාවට මොහොලිය උත්තර දීලා මේ උත්තර විතර කැල්කියුලේට් කරන්න දෙනවා. කැල්කියුලේට් කරලා ඉන්ටර්ප්‍රිට් කරනවා. ක්ලාස් ටික එකක් බලන්න. හුඟක් වෙලාවට ඔයාලා ලකුණු 10ක් විතර එන්නේ. දෙකක්ම කැල්කියුලේට් කරන්න එන්නේ නැහැ. මේ අවුරුද්ද කැල්කියුලේට් කරන්න ගානේ තියෙනවා මොහොලිය උත්තර විගස්. ඒතර මේ අවුරුද්ද කැල්කියුලේෂන් ටිකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක අනුව වේවවල දාන්න වෙනවා. So sometimes when you ask to interpret, student, just describe it. Right? You won't get marks for describing. Then the 100 come then. Make it. Allowing it come right. Gross profit margin. මේක කියන්නේ නැතුව අනිත් මොනවා කිව්වත් interpretation වල ලකුණු ඉන්නේ නැහැ. Right? Sometimes what students say, you go ahead with the calculation, correct calculation, you get marks for calculation, correct. Then you say that gross profit margin of 2020-40 has increased to 42% in 2022. That's it. ඒක interpretation එකක් නෙමෙයි. මේ increase කියන එක පොඩි ළමයෙක්ට දුන්නා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් O level කරන කෙනෙක් දුන්නත් මේක බලලා කියන්න පුළුවන් මේක increase decrease කියලා. You have to judge that increase or decrease is favorable or unfavorable. That is what the interpretation. දැන් සමහර අය දැන් interpretation ලොකු paragraph එකක් ලියනවා. මේකෙන් තව කියන්න පුළුවන්. අර 40 increase to 42% by 2%. right? ඒකත් කියනවා. right? ඕනනම් ඒක 40 to 2 කිව්වහම මේක percentage එකක් විතර ඕනනම් බලන්නත් පුළුවන්. මේක තවත් කරනවා 2 divide by 40 as percentage. But you don't mention this is favorable or unfavorable. right? So if you don't mention favorable or unfavorable, you can't get that mark for the interpretation because you don't know. දැන් හුඟක් අය හිතනවා මේ increase decrease කියන එක තමයි favorable. මම මේක මෙහෙම කියන්නේ. මේ කොච්චර කිව්වත් exam papers වල මෙහෙම කියලා increase decrease කියලා ඉවරයි ඉන්නවා. right? You have to mention increase decrease. That is true. මොකද ඒක නැතුව අපිට interpret කරන්න බෑ. You have to say whether it is increase or decrease, whether that increase or decrease favorable one. That is how the interpretation complete. right? අඩුද වැඩිද කියන එක කියන්න නෑ. right? It has increased. So this is favorable. That's it. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ වගේ ටේබල් එකක් තිබුණා නම් ඒත් ඇති. right? Interpretation එක කියලිනවා මේ අපි කරන විදිහම පන්තිය කරන විදිහ ටේබල් එකේ දුන්නත් ඇති. right? Calculate කරා calculation එක පෙන්නන්න ඕන ගොඩක්. right? ඒ තමයි අපි දන්නේ හරියටම. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැනගත්තද කියලා. right calculation එක. මොකද කොපි කරාම අපිට ඒක කරන්න බෑනේ. ඒක මොනිටර් කරන්න බෑනේ. එක්සෑම් එකේ කරන්න මම හිතන්නේ chance එක අඩුයි. නමුත් කොපි කරනවා නම් එයා ලොගින් එකත් එක්කම කොපි කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. අන්තිම උත්තරේ නම් කොහමද කයින් හරි අහලා හරි ඔයාලා ලියන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම බෑ. එයා දැනගන්න ඕනේ ෆෝමියුලා එකයි වර්කින් එක. විභාගෙට ෆෝමියුලා එක මේක නොලිව්වත් කමක් නැහැ. සබ්ස්ටිටියුට් කරලා පෙන්නුවා නම් ඇති. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලා මේක මේ ඉලක්කම් දානවා කියන ඔයාලා දන්නවනේ ෆෝමියුලා එක. එක්සෑම් එකට මේක ක්ලියර් නොලියන එක අදාළ නැහැ. right? But we have to show the substitute. right? ආදේශික රූප පෙන්නන්න. right? You are taking the figures. Then the answer calculation. Right. So we move up to we discussed now 12 ratios, profitability ratios, 4 profitability ratios, 2 liquidity ratios, 6 working capital management ratios. Right? Altogether 12. Then we have long-term financial stability. So liquidity ratio, in other words, short-term financial stability. Short-term, whether we can settle current liability. Long-term financial stability measures the business long-term. So the name suggests it, right? Whether this business is stable in the long term, right? Whether business face any problem in settling long-term debts, right? In the long run, whether business is stable or not. So we can, there are so many ratios. Other thing is now, here we are discussing just something around 20-21 ratios, right? So this financial statement analysis is a very broad, this is separate subject, right? It's a broad subject, right? So sometimes degree program may have a subject, sometimes some accounting program may not have a subject. So in that case, you should have at least this financial statement analysis basic part. Right? So then, quality degree FSA වෙනම subject එකක් නැහැ. ඒ නිසා FR වල FSA part එකක් තියෙනවා. Final year specialize කරනවා නම් advanced financial reporting වල මේක තමයි advanced aspects ටිකක් අපි කතා කරන්නේ. Right? මේක වෙනම broad subject එක. Right? දැන් උදාහරණයක් මගේ university එකේ ජාන university එකේ accounting degree එකේ final year සෙන්ටර්. ඒ subject එකක් තියෙනවා financial statement analysis. Right? 15 weeks full semester comprehensive subject. දැන් අපි මේක කතා කරන්නේ ඒකේ පොඩි කොටස. Right? දැන් අපේ master program එකේ තියෙනවා. මම ඔය දෙකේම ඔය subject එක උගන්වනවා. Right? ඒතර master level එකේ තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේක very broad area එකක්. So here in this course, we are giving you the very basic understanding how to calculate the ratio and interpretation. Right? बहुत simplified version එක. Right? මේක තමයි advanced එකක් මුල final එකට આવුත් අපි කතා කරනවා මේ ratios ඊට වඩා interpretation critically කොහොමද කරන්නේ මේවා පාවිච්චි කරලා කොහොමද forecast කරන්නේ විශේෂයෙන් bank loss predict කරන්න ඔය වගේ මොකක්ද කීපයක් කතා කරනවා if you are specialized. Right? You will meet me again in advanced financial reporting A1. Right? So there we discuss those advanced aspects. එතකොට දැන් මෙතන ratios අපි ඉස්සර විතර කතා කරන්නේ මෙතන ratios අපිට 60ක් 70ක් සාමාන්‍ය complete course එකක් ගත්තොත් තියෙනවා. Right? But these core financial stability also you may have so many ratios. But we are taking very basic 3 ratios. Out of these 3, first and second actually the same ratio the interpretation other way around. It's like you learn management accounting, you have this called CS ratio, contribution to sales ratio. And you learn about variable cost ratio. Right? The contribution to sales ratio එක 0.4යි නා. Variable cost ratio එක 0.6යි. And contribution to sales ratio එක 140යි නා. Variable cost ratio එක 60යි. ඒ sales වලින් variable cost එක අඩු කරාම contribution එකේ. And ඒ වගේ කතාවක් තමයි debt ratio and equity ratio. Same ratio other way around. Right? Debt divided by debt plus equity. Second one, equity divided by debt plus equity. So if the debt ratio 20%, equity ratio 8%. If the debt ratio 40%, equity ratio 60%. Okay. There are some interpretation වලට when it comes to interpretation, we can use one of these two. අපි සාමාන්‍ය debt ratio and interest cover together we take for the interpretation. මොකද debt ratio දන්නවා කියන්නේ opposite is the equity ratio, right? And this is another thing. We don't interpret debt ratio alone. Right? Some ratio we say increase favor. Some ratio we say decrease favor. Right? Like profitability ratios increase favor. Gross profit margin, net profit margin, ROE, right? Debtors turnover, inventory turnover, increase favor. Some ratio decrease favor, like creditors turnover, debtors collection period, inventory resident period, decrease favor. Some ratio we have no, like current ratio, quick ratio. Some ratio you interpret with 2 ratios only, you don't interpret one ratio. Debt ratio එක හොඳ නරකද කියන්න බෑ වැඩි වුණාට. Debt ratio එක වැඩි වෙන එක හොඳක් නෑ. හොඳයි කියන්නත් බෑ අඩු වෙන එක හොඳයි කියන්න. බෑ debt ratio එකට norm එකකුත් නෑ. මේක 125ක් වගේ තියෙනවා නම් හොඳයි එහෙම කතාවකුත් නෑ. Right? So debt ratio interpret together with interest. Okay. We'll get the debt ratio. Calculation is quite straightforward. Debt divided by debt plus equity. So what is mean by debts? Not a debt here. Debt stand for debts here 9. Debt equal interest bearing borrowings. That is debt. Equity, you know, right? Debt means interest bearing borrowings. The borrowings that requires to pay interest. That is common loans, debentures, lease liabilities. Right? If you have issued redeemable preference shares, that is not equity. Right? We discussed in financial instrument. Right? Redeemable preference shares is part of debt instrument. So all those come under the debt. Right? The redeemable preference shares ගත්තොත් ගෙවන්නේ dividend එක, but theoretically it is equal to in substance interest. Right? Fixed එකක් ගෙවන්නේ. Right? So interest bearing borrowings කිව්වම ඔක්කොම debt capital. Right? Loans විදිහට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන එක. Plus equity. Share capital plus reserve equity. So out of the total debt plus equity, how much funded by debts? So this ratio, you don't say increase favorable or decrease favorable. We don't have a norm. Right? Increase favorable කියන්නත් බෑ, decrease favorable කියන්නත් බෑ. මේක norm එකකුත් නෑ. This ratio should be interpreted together with interest cover. Interest cover එකත් එක්ක තමයි. මේක interpret කරන්නේ හොඳද නැද්ද? Right. Then equity ratio, the opposite of the debt ratio. So මේක දැන් අපි හොයලා තියෙනවා නම් debt ratio එක debt divide by debt plus equity. Here equity divide by debt plus equity. Right? That's why I told you that if the debt ratio 20%, equity ratio 8%. If the debt ratio 30%, equity ratio 70%. Then for the interpretation purpose, you need the interest cover. The interest cover means how many times of interest expense can be covered by earnings before interest and tax. Interest සහ tax ගෙවන්න කලින් profit එකෙන් interest වගේ කී ගුණයක් cover වෙනවා. Right? So in absolute terms, interest cover itself we can interpret. Interest cover, what do you think? Increase favorable or decrease favorable? Number of times of interest expense covered by earning before interest and tax. Interest, අපි මේකේ උත්තරේ එක business එක 10යි. නැත්නම් last year 8 times, this year 10 times. Increase. Favorable or unfavorable? Favorable නේ. Interest එක වගේ 8 ගුණයක් profit තියනවට වඩා interest එක වගේ 10 ගුණයක් profit එක තියනවා කියන අපි same. අපි හොඳයි. Right? එතකොට මේක interpret කරන්න අර compare කරන්න වෙනවා. Debt ratio එකත් එක්ක. You can interpret it only together. Right? ඒකට පොඩි example එකක් ගන්න. Debt ratio. I can take in debt ratio, interest cover. Right. Right. වගේම ගන්නවා business කීපයක් A B C D right. දැන් මේක ලියා ගන්න එපා. I will give you time. Right. දැන් අපි හිතමු debt ratio එක last year එකේ 120යි. මේ අවුරුද්දේ 130යි. Debt ratio එකේ වෙනස increase. Right? Interest cover එක last year 4 times. This year 3 times. Decrease. Now you have to comment overall, right? Now debt ratio increase. That means the business have obtained more loans. When business obtain more loans, you have to pay more interest. So the business risk increases. The financial risk increases when you find the debt ratio increases. Debt ratio එක වැඩි වෙනකොට risk එක වැඩි වෙනවා, financial risk එක. හැබැයි risk එක වැඩි වෙන එක favorable කියන්න බෑ. Unfavorable කියන්න බෑ. Why? Risk එක වැඩි වෙනකොට return එකත් වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So that's depend on the nature of the business. Some businesses like to maintain very high debt ratio. Some businesses maintain very low debt ratio. That is your financial strategy. Right? It's business strategy. සමහර business equity තියාගෙන තමන්ගේ සල්ලි වලින් business කරනවා. තව සමහර අය පොඩි equity එකක් දාලා වැඩිපුර loans අරගෙන අනිත් අයගේ සල්ලි වලින් business. Thing is that when the debt ratio increases, you have to pay more interest. So you expose to more risk. While the debt ratio increase, interest cover decreases. Then, what do you think? Is it favorable or unfavorable? දැන් එක පැත්තකින් business එකේ risk එක වැඩි වෙනවා. අනිත් පැත්තේ return එක අඩු වෙලා. Right? Interest cover කියන්නේ the profit available to pay interest. ඒක අඩු වෙලා කියන්නේ මේක unfavorable. This is unfavorable. Right. දැන් මම ඔක්කොම අනිත් පැත්තට ගන්නවා. Last year 30, this year 20. Decrease. 3, 4. This one increase. While the debt ratio decreases, debt ratio decrease means your financial risk decreases. Meanwhile, interest cover increases. So this is, what do you think? This is favorable. Right? එක පැත්තකින් ණය ගන්න අඩුවෙන් ණය අරන් දෙනවා. ඒ ණය අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා loans ගෙවලා හරි. right? තිබ්බ loan ඉවර වෙලා මොකක්ද ඒක risk එක අඩු වෙනවා. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අපිට interest අඩුවෙන් ගෙවන්න වෙන්නේ profit එකත් වැඩි වෙලා යනවා. So this is favorable. ඒක දෙපැත්තට යනවා. So මේ ratio දෙක දෙපැත්තට යනකොට favorable ද unfavorable ද කියලා අඳුරගන්න එක ලේසි. Quite straightforward. දැන් අපි ගමු scenario මේ දෙකම එකවර වැඩි වෙනවා. 20 30 වෙනවා. 4 5. Both increase. දැන් අපි දන්නවා debt increases, debt ratio increases means risk increases. Interest cover increases means the return also increases. And දෙකම වැඩි වෙනවා. දැන් කොහොමද measure කරන්නේ? Favorable or unfavorable? You have to look at the relative increase. Right? ඒ වෙලාවට අපි මේකේ percentage එක බලනවා right? 20 30ට වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ කොච්චරද? 10ක් වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා 10 ඉඳලා 20ට. 20 ඉඳලා 30ට 10ක් වැඩි වෙලා. as a percentage ගත්තොත් මේ කීයක්ද? ඊට 50ක වැඩි වීම. right? 20ෙන් 30ට 10යි 10 වෙදීම 20. right? මෙතන 4ට 1යි. 1 divided by 4. 25%. දැන් දෙකම වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. රිස්ක් එකක් වැඩි වෙලා රිටර්න් එකක් වැඩි වෙලා. වැඩිපුර වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මොකක්ද? රිස්ක් එක. ඒ කියන්නේ favorable unfavorable. Unfavorable. Right? Got it? ඔක අනිත් පැත්ත මම ගන්නවා දෙකම අඩු වෙන සිනාරියෝ එකට. right. 30 තිබිලා 20ට අඩු වුණා. 30 ඉඳලා 20ට අඩු වුණා කියන්නේ alright නෑ. තව එකක් ගත්තා. මේකම. මේකම ගන්නවා මෙහෙම right. මේක වෙලා තියෙනවනේ 100ට අපම් මේක ගන්න 25ක් වගේ වෙන්නේ. 25 කියන්නේ 5 වෙදින 20. 25. මේක හරියන්නේ. මේක පමණයි. Right. Now, debt ratio 20 to 25%. 5 out of 20. 125 වැඩි වෙලා. Interest cover 4 to 6. 4 to 6 කියන්නේ 2 divided by 4, 50%. Now this is both risk and return increases, but return increase is much higher percentage, right? Profit, interest cover increase by much higher. So it is fair. මේ වෙලාවට මේ relative percentage එක බලන්න වෙනවා. එක observation එකකින් කියන්න බෑ. right? right. ඒ විදිහට මම ගන්නවා තව අවස්ථා දෙකක්. E and F two companies. E වල අපි ගමු debt ratio එක 30 to 20 decrease. මේකත් මෙතන decrease එක තියෙන්නේ 50%. Decrease 4 to 3. That also decrease. Decrease by 25%. Risk decrease. Risk decrease can favorable. Risk decrease favorable. Return decrease. එතන මට කරගන්න නේ. මේක එන්න ඕනේ මේක. right. scenario එක එන්න ඕනේ full scenario එක මේක. මේක decrease වෙද්දි මේක ගන්න. right. Now here risk decrease. risk එක අඩු වෙනවා. return එකත් අඩු වෙනවා. right. දැන් මොකද? risk එක අඩු වෙනවා return එක අඩු වෙනවා. මෙතන percentage බලන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. risk එක අඩු වෙනවා. risk එක අඩු වෙනකොට risk එක අඩු වෙනවා. risk එක අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ වාසිත අවාසිත. වාසි. right. ඒ කියන්නේ 20 to 30 to 20 අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ risk එක පැත්තෙන් වාසි. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් interest cover එක අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ ඒක අවාසි. දැන් මෙතන එනවා ආපහු මේක වාසි මේක අවාසි. එහෙනම් අපිට percentage බලන්න වෙනවා. right. got the point? percentage එක බලන්න වෙනවා right. Risk decreased by 50%. 30 to 20. Not 50. 30 to 20 means 33. 33. 4 to 3. 1 out of 4. තිබුණ තැන ඉඳලා බලන්නේ 4ට 1යි. 25. දැන් කියන්න favorable unfavorable. risk එක අඩු වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ වාසිය. වාසිය 33යි. අවාසිය 25යි. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක favorable. favorable. ඊළඟ අපි ගමු මේක අනිත් පැත්ත 33 මේක අඩු වෙනවා 2. Now what is? Debt ratio decreased by 33%. තුනේ එක debt ratio එක අඩු. Interest cover එක 50% අඩු. Debt ratio decreases favorable. Interest cover decreases unfavorable. But unfavorable percentage is greater. So this is unfair. Right? So ඔය විදිහට තමයි ඔක ඉන්ටර්ප්‍රීට් කරන්න වෙන්නේ. Right? Debt ratio and interest cover. Got it? දැන් ඔන්න මේකෙන් අනිවාර්යෙන් විභාගෙට ෆයිනල් එක්සෑම් එකෙත් මේ වගේ එකක් එන්න පුළුවන්. right? හෙට එකේ මේ වගේ ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකක් මේ වගේ රේෂියෝස් ටිකක් දුන්නාම ඔයාලට ෆේවරබල් අන්ෆේවරබල් කියද්දි මේක බලලා කියන්නේ. right? ඒ උදාහරණයක් මේ ෆිගර්ස් මොනවා හරි දෙනවා. debt ratio of company increase from 20 to 30 while interest cover decrease from 4 to 3. So this is a favorable change. ඒක බලලා කියන්න ඕන right මේක favorable ද unfavorable. ඇයි කියන්නේ? Okay, you can take down this one. All document income use කරගන්න මොඩල් සෙටින්ග්ස් ගන්න මොඩල් සෙටින්ග්ස් account කියන එක තමයි අපි කතා කරන්නේ මේක account list and text and මේ අයිතියක් එක ශ්‍රී ලංකාව කියලා දෙපණ අවුත් ලංකාවේ අයිතියක් එක තමයි මේක ශ්‍රී ලංකා බෝඩර් මේ latest publication 2020 photo එන්න මේක download කරගන්න මේකෙන් මේ content කියලා ඒ content නෑ report එක තව දෙකක් කියලා ඒක මේක කරන කම ඉස්සර කරනවා Right. Okay. So shall we take short break and continue after the break? So we continue the discussion. So then we are moving to the next category. Okay, we have the activity tree, right? So we did not discuss this activity. Can you attend the activity first? We have 12 ratios now. This we can take this as 13, 14, 15, right? Your profit before tax, finance expense, stated capital ordinary shares, retained earnings, interest bearing borrowings, non-current, interest bearing borrowing, current. So part of the long-term borrowings recorded within current liability, current portion. So that also you have to take as a debt. Debt කිව්වහම දෙකම ගන්න ඕනේ. Total interest bearing borrowing. Right? So this is that's straightforward. අපි කලින් විදිහටම ratios calculate කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට input කරන්න පුළුවන් debt and interest. මේ තුනම සමස්තයක් විදිහට අරගෙන imputation එක දෙන්න. Right? Only one imputation.
Yeah.
This is quite straightforward. So we are going to calculate 3 ratios. So I'm taking these 3 now.
Yeah.
But number 13, debt ratio. No? Debt ratio. debt divided by debt plus equity into 100%. So the equity ratio same, right? 14. Equity ratio debt. Instead of debt, now you take equity divided by debt plus equity. So we have 30, 14. This is debt ratio and equity ratio. Then we need to take the interest cover EBIT divided by interest expense. Interest. Is interest cover. Right? We don't know favorable or unfavorable in this. And here that actually interpretation, we are going to make one interpretation. One interpretation for all. So debt ratio, we have the debt. Borrow is 4,500 plus 1,500. Divide by debt 6,000. Equity. We have state capital and retained earnings 6 plus 3, 9. So here you will get the answer. You can keep it as a percentage. Same way you can find it in the last year. Last year debt 3,000 plus 1,000. 4,000. Debt 4,000. Equity. State capital 6,000. Retail earning 2,000. Altogether 6,000. Altogether 8,000. So debt ratio. Current year 40%. Last year 33%. So you see the debt ratio increases. Equity ratio very similar. So now equity 9,000 last year. Current year 9,000, last year 8,000. So you will see that debt ratio increases, equity ratio decreases. The interest cover 4,400 plus 880 divide by 880. We need to take the EBIT. We have profit before tax 4,400. 4,400. Last year, $4,104 divided by 760. Sorry, 4,104 plus 760 divided by 760. So 6.4 decreased to 6. So the overall comparison, we can compare debt ratio increase and interest cover decrease. So debt ratio increase means risk increase, unfavorable. Whereas interest cover, to certain extent we can go with the return. So interest cover decrease means return decreases. Both decreases, both unfavorable, right? So overall, we can say which is unfavorable. We are not commenting one by one. We are commenting overall result as a whole. Okay. Right. Then we are moving to the next ratio category, investors ratio. Now, when it's come to investors ratios, right? Investors ratios. So the investors ratios means the ratios that used by investors frequently when they are taking investment decision. The ratios that investors concern when they make investment decisions, especially relating to the return. Because all the ratios we discuss up to now will be considered by investors when they make investment decisions. Right? අපි කතා කරපු ratio හැම එකක්ම investors consider කරනවා, right? Profitability, liquidity, working capital, long-term finance, everything will be considered. These ratios measure about the return, right? Investors' perspective, especially when you consider share investors, right? When investor in the share market perspective, these are the basic ratios, the primary ratios that they will consider. We call them investors ratios. So under investors ratios, we have first one, earnings per share. Earnings per share. So we take the net profit divided by weighted average number of ordinary shares. The net profit for the year divided by number of ordinary shares. This number of ordinary shares may be weighted average number of ordinary shares if there is a share issue during the year. If there is no share issue, no movement of the share, then opening and closing same number of shares, you just take the year-end number of shares. But when there is a share issue during the year, you can't just take the simple average, opening and closing, divide by 2. That is unfair because number of shares held, you can weight based on the period. Right? So we have to weight it by the number of months. Now, for an example, if a company having 1 million shares beginning of the year, or say 2 million shares beginning of the year, during the year another 1 million shares were issued. End of the year we have 3 million shares. So when you take the weighted average shares, okay, you take 1 million shares, how long these 1 million shares were there? අපි તો මාස 3ක් තිබුණා කියලා. So 3 out of 12. Plus, right, මම ගත උදාහරණ ගන්නම්. 2 million shares were there initially, which was there 3 months, right? 1st April to 1st July. Then 1st July we made another 1 million shares. Altogether now the total shares become 3 million. 3 million were there for 12 months. So this is how you weight it. 2 million for 3 months, 3 out of 12, 3 million for 9 months. So that is 2,700. Right? If you get the simple average, 2 million plus end of the year 3 million, 2 million plus 3 million, 5 million divided by 2, you will get 2.5 million, 2,500. That's the simple average. So you can't use a simple average unless the share issue made exactly after half, right? 1st October, then okay. Right? So we don't go simple average, you just multiply it by the number of months. share set. Then profit divided by that, you will get how much earnings per share. So basically, investor would prefer to see higher earning per share. Right? Earning per share එක වැඩි නම් හොඳයි. Compared to the last year, the earning per share increases favorable. Right? Per share earning. Last year 4 rupees, this year 5 rupees. Favorable. Right? Earning per share. Profit divided by average number of ordinary shares. Then the earning per share, the problem is, especially when you are comparing two different entities for investment, A and B. You consider two entities and want to take the decision. Earning per share, A and B. Earning per share, 5 rupee A, B 10 rupee. So based on earning per share, you might say B is better. No? Because A per share earning is 5 rupee, B 10 rupee. But from the investor's point of view, investor should consider how much you need to invest to get this 5 rupee. Company A share is traded in the market for 50 rupees. Company B share is traded in the market for 200 rupees. So the earning per share cannot be compared when the company market prices are different. Why? To get 5 rupee, company A, you can buy a share for 50 rupees. So 50 rupee investment, you can earn 5. Company B, 10 rupee earning, but you need to spend 200. Then the far better calculation is earning per share divided by market price. This ratio, accordingly, the A is better. Now, this ratio is called earning yield ratio. Earning yield ratio. Earning yield. Earning per share divided by the market price. So the earning per share can be used to compare investment where these market prices are identical or similar, right? One is 200, other 210, right? So 198, so very close. Okay, you can make the comparison. But the best way of comparing the earnings, earning per share divided by market price, this is called earning yield ratio. Earning per share divided by market price first. But again, right, this is what company earn. If you take an investor, the earnings is the profit, no? Earning per share calculate profit divided by number of shares. Entire profit earned by the business will not be received by the shareholder. The actual amount received by shareholder will be the dividend. So if you take a short-term investor who is willing to earn some dividend income, he is more concerned about dividend per share rather than earning per share. How much return actually received? Earnings, yes, ultimately belongs to the shareholder, but you are not getting it annually, right? Part of the profit will be distributed as dividend. So you can have the next ratio, dividend per share, where you take the ordinary share dividend divided by number of ordinary shares, right? Ordinary share dividend, dividend per share. So ordinary share dividend divided by number of ordinary shares per share dividend. So per share dividend higher, always investors like to receive higher dividend per share, right? Higher dividend per share. Then the same question arises when you are comparing two entities. If one company dividend may earnings not make a dividend killer, Right, dividend per share. Dividend per share 5 and 10. So you might say that 10 rupee dividend is more attractive. But again, you have relatively compare with the market price. To get 5 rupee dividend, you have to invest only 50 rupee. To get 10 rupee dividend, you have to invest 200 if that is the market price. So in that case, investor would go for A because that will give you higher return for your investment. So for that, you take the dividend yield ratio. Same as earning yield ratio. Dividend per share divided by market price per share. Right? Dividend yield ratio. So dividend per share. Next, we have dividend yield. Market price dividend per share divided by market price. Then investors like to see how much of earnings pay as dividend. And when you take the dividend per share isolately, right? You take independently, okay. Dividend per share 5 rupee, 10 rupee, how much per share dividend? Then relative to the market price, you can find for your investment how much dividend you can get. But companies willing, investors willing to know relative to earnings how much dividend. Right? Your earning per share 10 rupee, you are paying 2 rupee dividend. Another company earning per share 5 rupee, they also pay 2 rupee dividend. So you need to compare that dividend per share divided by earning per share. That is dividend payout ratio. Dividend payout ratio, you take dividend per share divided by earning per share. Dividend per share divided by earning per share. So relatively out of the earnings, how much pay as dividend? Right? Dividend earnings අපි හිතමු per share රුපියල් 10ක් earn කරද්දී රුපියල් 5ක් dividend ගෙවනවා නම් dividend payout ratio 50%. You can take it as a percent. Another company, they earn 20 rupees and pay 8 rupee dividend. So 8 out of 20, they are paying only 40%. So sometimes investors prefer to see high dividend payout ratio, especially when you take short-term investors. Short-term investor කෙනෙක් ගත්තොත් එයා වැඩිපුර කැමති earnings වලින් වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් dividend ගෙවනවා. Because whatever the earning, if you are not willing to stay in the firm long run, right, you don't worry about the earnings, right? How much you can get directly by dividend return. So in that perspective, investors prefer to see higher dividend payout ratio. Right? Earnings වලින් කොච්චර percentage එක dividend ගෙවනවද? හැබැයි ඕකේ තියෙනවා තව other way, right? Other perspective of this. Say company pay 20% dividend out of the earning. Another company pay 80% dividend out of the earning. So dividend payout, one company 20%, other company 80%. Short-term investor would prefer 80% dividend payout company because out of the earning 80% get. But you get 80% means you are retaining in the company only 20%. The retaining profit within the company is important for the growth of the company. Company ke growth එකට reinvestment එක වැදගත්. So you need a reasonable retention for the long-term growth. In that perspective, right? From that long-term growth perspective, especially investor willing to stay in the long run, he want to see high, reasonable retention. Right? Dividend payout එකට කැමති. එයා කැමතිනේ 80යි 20යි. එයා කැමති වේ සමහරට 50ක් තියෙනවා. Right? You need a reasonable retention, then only the company can grow. Right? So retention ratio, you can take earning per share minus dividend per share. So how much retain? Divide by earning per share. එහෙම නැත්නම් then මේකත් ගන්න පුළුවන් නේ per share හොයාගත්තාම අපිට ලේසි per share තියෙන වෙලාවට නැත්නම් කෙලින්ම ordinary share dividend divide by net profit dividend payout profit එකෙන් කොච්චර dividend ගෙවුවද right ඊළඟට එහෙම නැත්නම් profit එකෙන් dividend අඩු කරපුවාම ඉතිරි වෙන ටික net profit එකේ percentage එක but normally since we calculate earning per share and dividend per share based on that you can calculate the earning per share minus dividend per share divided by earning per share retention. Dividend payout, you can take the dividend per share divided by earning per share. Right? So we have 6 ratios. So we'll take those 6 ratios. So I'll be using this. Here we have 6 ratios. Read here. Number 13. Earning per share. Net profit divided by number of ordinary shares. Earning per share. Number 13. Earning per share. Then number 14, earning yield ratio. Yeah, earnings per share divided by market price. Per share market. Number 15, dividend per share. You take ordinary share dividend. Ordinary share dividend. Divided by number of ordinary shares. This is earning yield ratio. This is dividend per share. 13, 14, 15, 15, dividend yield ratio. Here you take the dividend per share divided by market price. Number 17, dividend payout ratio. Dividend payout ratio. Dividend per share divided by earnings per share. Number 18. Retention ratio. Dividend per share minus earning per share. Sorry, other. Earning per share minus dividend per share. Divide by earning per share. Right? That means that my work earning per share, earning yield, dividend per share, dividend yield. Dividend yield. Dividend payout, retention. These 5 ratios we are going to calculate. Here you see the formulas. Right. So you can go through this activity. Activity 4, we have profit, ordinary share dividend, number of ordinary shares, market price per share. Can you go ahead and calculate? දැන් මේවා දහස් වලින් තියෙන්නේ ordinary shares දහස් කරනවා නම් 2000 වලින් බෙදන්න. Right? Hello. Okay. Pakai statement yang ngasih. Banyak descriptive statistics කියලා නම දාලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක වෙන්නේ මම හිතන්නේ ඔයා කියලින්ම දාන්න නැත්නම් ඔයා කියන්නේ ඔයගෙන් ඔයා කියලින්ම කියනවා ඔයාගේ මේක ෆයිල්ස් එකට දාන්න මේ දෙකකට රිලේෂන්ෂිප් එකක් තියෙනවා කියන එක දාන්න. Oh, anak ajarin itu dah. Oh, itu yang lebih kenal lagi ni. Iya benar. Right. This is relatively easy because when you take one first and second, the remaining ratios we can easily fill. Because recover ratios information sama never ya. Right. So we have profit for the year. 6,000, 16,800, 19,500, right? Profit, net profit, 16,800, 19,500. Number of ordinary shares. Then a body where at the pillar. How do they get the money? මොකද මේකත් මෙහෙම යන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඒකේ රෙයා ෂෙයා රිඩෙම්පෂන් එකක් තියෙනවා. ෂෙයා බයිබැක් එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් ගිය අවුරුද්දට වඩා මේ අවුරුද්දේ අඩු වෙලානේ තියෙන්නේ. right? එතකොට ඇත්තටම මේකේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ නෑ හරි. number of ordinary shares වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා නේ. right? 1 million 2 million හරි no issue. මේ dividend දැන් 1 million 2 million. now 1 million increase to 2 million. හැබැයි මේක ගන්න ඕනේ new share issue was made 1st October, right? There 1 million තිබුණා මාස 6ක්. 2 million තිබුණා තව මාස 6ක්. right? there million තියෙන්නේ අපි 1000 වලින් ගන්න ඔක්කොම. ඒක number of shares 1500. In this one, even though you take simple average, it will tell you because exactly mid year share issue was made. right? ගිය අවුරුද්දේ තොරතුරු නැහැ. එහෙනම් ගිය අවුරුද්දේ 1 million තමයි තියෙන්නේ. right? ගිය අවුරුද්දේ වෙන share issue එකක් නැත්නම් this 1 million should have been there 13%. right? ඊට කලින් තිබුණේ දිගටම 1 million. අලුත් share issue එකක් ගැන කියන්නේ. අලුත් share issue එකක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ 2021 ඔක්තෝබර් වල. එහෙනම් 1 million තමයි ගිය අවුරුද්දේ 2021 වල share. So you will get now there's a decrease in earning per share, which is unfavorable from investors' perspective, right? This decrease in earning per share unfavorable. Then you take, sorry. 2000 you have to take weighted average. 2000 end of the year. During the year share issue was made. So ඒක අපි ගන්න ඕනේ 2000 තිබ්බේ මාස 6යි 1000 තිබ්බ මාස 6යි. right? 12න් 6යි 12න් 6යි. මෙතනදී simple average ගන්නේ නැහැ. 1000යි 2000යි එකතු කරලා දෙකෙන් බෙදන්නේ නැහැ. ඒත් එන්නේ මේ උත්තරේ තමයි මේ ගානේ because share issue made on 1st October. But share issue made on 1st January, scenario different. Right? So you have to take the number of months. 1000 මාස 6යි. 2000 මාස 6යි. 1000 මාස 3යි 2000 මාස 9යි නා 1000 into 3 out of 12 plus 2000 into 9 out of 12. Right? මේ විදිහට ගන්න. මේකේ හරියට මාස 6න් යන්නේ ඒ නිසා 1000 මාස 6යි. 1000 මාස 6යි. Then earning per share already calculated. Divide by market price. Market price is given 25 and 20. මේක ලොකු earning yield එකක් එනවා. මේක සාමාන්‍ය percentage එකක් විදිහට වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. Right? So earning yield also decrease, which is unfavorable. Dividend per share එකේදී earnings වෙනුවට දැන් dividend ගන්න ඕනේ 5040 11700 5040 11700 dividend. So dividend per share also decreases, is unfavorable. Dividend yield to take dividend per share divided by market price. So dividend yield decreased from 59 to 13. So very much unfavorable compared to the last year. Then dividend per share divided by earning per share. So last year dividend per share divided by earning per share. මේකත් ඕනනම් අපිට decimal තියන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් percentage එකක් විතර තියන්න. Then we have retention. Retention, you take earnings minus dividend divided by earnings. Earnings minus dividend divided by earnings. Make a හැම වෙලේම earning per share 100ට dividend payout 30% means retention 70%. Dividend payout 60% means retention 40%. So when the dividend payout decreases, retention increases. Right? Then මේ දෙක එකම ratio එක දෙපැත්තනේ. Right? මේක favorable ද unfavorable ද කියන එක කියන්න වෙන්නේ මම පොදුවේ මේ දෙකටම කමෙන්ට් කරන්න. Investor perception එක. So short term investor they do not like to see the decrease of the dividend payout ratio. This is dividend payout. This retention. Right. So from the short term investors perspective, this is unfavorable. but favorable from long-term investors. investor කෙනෙක් මේ business එකේ දිගු කාලීනව ඉන්න කැමති නම් එහෙම investor කෙනෙක් කැමති reasonable retention එකක් තියෙනවා. Unfavorable from short-term investors' perspective. Right? But favorable from long-term investors' perspective. Long-term කෙනෙක් පැත්තෙන් බැලුවොත් එයා කැමති payout එක 30ක් තිබිලා retention 70ක් තියෙන එකට එයා කැමති dividend 60ක් ගෙවලා 40ක් retain කරනවට වඩා. Right? 30යි 70යි also reasonable. Right? 30% pay, 70% reinvest. You can have a significant growth. Right? If you are staying in the long run, that would be preferred. But short-term investor, he would like even 100% dividend payout. Right? 90%, 70%, ඒක වැඩි වෙනවට තමයි කැමති. So මේ දෙකටම වෙන වෙනම මේ එකම කතාව කියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා මම පොදුවේ මේ දෙක කියනවා. Right? Then now we discuss 5 types of accounting ratios: profitability, liquidity, working capital management, long-term financial stability, and investors ratios. එතකොට මේ ටිකම අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ accounting ratios වල තියෙන advantages. මොනවද? Useful in assessing the profit earning ability of the business. Business එකේ profit earning ability එක measure කරන්න පුළුවන් ratios. Useful in assessing the business's ability of short-term liability, settling short-term liability, liquidity ratio. Useful in assessing the efficiency of managing working capital of the business. Right? Working capital management ratios. Useful in assessing the financial stability of the business. And useful for investors making investment decision, investors ratio. So ratios වර්ග පහේ topics. මේ වර්ග පහට benefits පහක් අඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන්. There are so many, but at least you can identify these 5 benefits. Then you should know what are the major limitations of accounting ratios. Limitations, right? The limitations of accounting ratios. Some of these limitations are the limitation of the financial statement, because these accounting ratios calculate based on the financial statements. So financial statements are having some inherent limitation. Those limitations will be applicable for ratios as well. Now, first one, all accounting ratios are calculated based on historical available in the financial statement. So that's a limitation of financial statement. Historical information. So ratios also historical. So we are going to take a decision about the future, but we are using the historical information. That's a limitation. Past information තිබුණාට අනාගතයේ තත්ත්වය ඊට වඩා වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? But can't help, we have the financial statement historical basis. So we are using those historical information. There is one limitation. Accounting ratios affected by errors and manipulations in the financial statement. When preparing the financial statement, it is possible to occur some errors. Right? වැරද්දක් තිබුණොත් අපිට profit එක වැරදි. We are using a profit 100 million, but correct profit 90 million. So we are using that wrong profit and calculate the net profit margin, calculate the return on equity, return on asset, right? So many things that the wrong figure using. The errors means unintentional. The manipulation means intentionally. Sometimes the financial statement may be manipulated to show higher profit, higher income, right? So lower debt equity ratio, so something like that. So if the financial statements are having some errors or manipulations, ratios are affected by them. So the financial statement වල මොනවා හරි වැරද්දක් තියෙනවා නම් ratio එක වරදිනවා, එතකොට අපි වැරදි interpretation එකට එනවා. That's a limitation. Then accounting ratios are subject to impact of different accounting policies and estimates used by different entities. Now this is applicable when you are comparing two entities. Now investor compare calculate ratios of two entities. අපි the earning per share කියනවා. So you calculate based on the profit divided by number of ordinary shares. Profit calculation, different entities might use different accounting policies and estimates. Similar type of motor vehicle, one business depreciate 5 years, other business depreciate 10 years. Possible. Right? One business measure closing inventory, cost of closing inventory based on FIFO method, other business weighted average cost. That will affect to the profit, closing inventory value. Right? Likewise, different accounting policies and estimates will affect to the accounting ratios. So that will reduce the comparability of these ratios. Right? මොකද financial statement වල තියෙන figures නිකන් financial වැරද්දක් නෙමෙයි මේ. Right? එක එක financial statement එක එක estimates and policies පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙනවා. Within the standards guideline. And they disclose it. Okay. But when you calculate the ratios, you can't make adjustment as you have to use that ratio. එකක තියෙන්නේ weighted average cost එකට inventory එක අනිත් එක 5. අපි දෙකම සුපර් මාකට්. අපි දන්නවා 5 ගන්නකොට closing inventory එක වැඩි value එකක් වෙන්න. First in first out inflation situation එක latest purchase are including the closing inventory. ඒතර closing inventory වැඩි වෙනවා. Cost of sales අඩු වෙලා profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Right? ඒතර ඇත්තටම මේ accounting policy එක නිසා තමයි එක company එක profit එක වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන නිසා profit ratio වැඩි වෙලා වෙන්න අර. Right? That's a limitation. Then some accounting ratios become meaningless with negative values in the financial state. උදාහරණයකට අපි හිතමු interest cover ratio අපි හොයන්නේ earning before interest and tax. අපිට ආවොත් loss එක before tax loss එකක්. The interest add back කරත් ඒත් loss. එතකොට loss එකක් ආවම මේක negative. ඒතර interest cover එක input කරන්න බෑනේ. loss එක interest එකකින් කොහොමද cover වෙන්නේ කියන්නේ? Right? Should be an issue. In certain cases, business may have negative equity. Right? Accumulated losses තිබිලා losses capital එකත් exceed වෙලා business එක liability වලින් යන්නේ. Right? ඒ වගේ business එක debt equity එකක් අපිට ගන්න බෑ. debt plus equity එකක් minus එකක් plus, right? You can't calculate anything. So when you have some negative values, certain accounting ratios become meaningless. Then accounting ratios ignore qualitative factors. අපි කියන්නේ මේ financial statements වලින් there are so many qualitative factors affecting for a business. You ignore them. The business එකේ goodwill එක, brand image එක, employees commitment, their skills, patent, technology, so many factors you have to consider when you are making a comparison. But financial accounting ratios consider only the quantitative, so ignore the qualitative. මම තව එකක් add කරගන්න පුළුවන් අපිට. Some assumptions. Used in accounting ratio are unrealistic. Some ratios used in accounting ratios unrealistic. Then අපි මතකනේ අපි ගත්තා inventory turnover, debtors turnover. We assume all sales made on credit. ඒක බොහෝ business වලට realistic නොවෙන්න පුළුවන්. All purchases made on credit. And we take the average, simple average, opening and closing divide by 2. එතන අපිට අවුරුද්ද පුරා තිබ්බේ ඔය simple averages. ඔයකත් උහුම නොවේ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Those are assumptions we made. So ratios are calculated based on assumptions. These assumptions may not be realistic in certain cases. Right. So now we have basically finished the content. Right. So mama ඊසතියේ කිව්වා වලට final exam එකේදී.
Yeah, excuse me sir.
Yeah.
Sir මේ අතන අර dividend per share එක calc කරනකොට අපි අර number of shares ගන්න ඕනේ මේ අවුරුද්දේ අන්තිම තියෙන ගානද නැත්නම් weighted average ගානද? ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් confuse sorry sir.
නෑ දැන් අවුරුද්දේ share issue එකක් තිබුණොත් අපි comparison එකට ගන්න weighted average එක. මේ comparison එක. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි මේක base කරලානේ earning per අපි calculate කරන්නේ earning yield ඊට පස්සේ dividend payout. Because then it's a good question. Again, අපි සාමාන්‍ය dividend කියවන්නේ closing number of shares වලට. එතකොට dividend per share ඉන්නේ basically number of shares. නේ? ඒ ඇත්ත ගෙවන dividend එක per share. නේ? හැබැයි දැන් අපි earnings relate කරන්නේ weighted average නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් අවුරුද්දේ share issue එකක් වුණාම per share earning අරන් තියෙන්නේ weighted average එක. ඒ වෙලාවට dividend එකත් අපිට weighted average එක තියෙනවා. There are some adjustments that we can make taking dividend per share normally closing. අපි සාමාන්‍ය dividend per share හොයන්නේ yes. Dividend per share කියන්නේ අපි shareholder කෙනෙක් dividend ගෙවන්නේ. එයාලට තියෙන share එක. year end number of shareholders එක තමයි dividend ගෙවන්නේ. right? ඒ basis එකෙන් ගත්තොත් dividend per share අපිට හොයන්න ඕනේ 2000 වලට. right? Per share 2000. හැබැයි දැන් අපි earnings අරන් තියෙන average කරලා ඒ නිසා මෙතනත් අපිට average කරලා ගන්න ඕනේ. right? For this analysis purpose. right? There are different ways, right? So there are some adjustments we need to make, but here we will go ahead with this same, right? You go ahead with the average. Okay?
Okay, thank you sir.
Right. So tomorrow we will have a classroom test. So those who are joining online, right? Tomorrow during the test you need to switch on your cameras. So ඒකත් ලෑස්ති වෙන්න. ඒකට device එකක් ready කරගන්න, right? And this is how you will be evaluated in your final examination. You will get 4 questions. Company question for 30 marks, consolidation 30 marks. උගත් වෙලාවට console question එක 20යි 10යි. right? ඒක නිසා බොහෝ වෙලාවට දැන් මේ ratio ලකුණු 10යිනේ. උගත් වෙලාවට ratio එකයි මොකද answer all question ලකුණු 100ට තියෙන්නේ. right? ඇත්තටම ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක බැලුවොත් කම්පැනි ලකුණු 30 ගානයි කන්සෝල් ලකුණු 20ක බැලන්ස් ෂීට් එකක් එනවා. right? ඊට පස්සේ රේෂියෝ 10යි කන්සෝලිඩේටඩ් ඉන්කම් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් 10යි තව ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් එනවා. ඒක කොහොමද කන්සෝල් ලකුණු 30යි. right? ඊට පස්සේ ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ්ස් වලින් ලකුණු 30ක ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් එනවා. ඒකේ පාර්ට් A B C D E වගේ කොටස් 5කට විතර තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. අර ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ්ස් වලින් පොඩි අපි discuss කරපු විදිහේ questions, right? So මම හෙට පොඩි model questions කීපයක් discuss කරනවා. So you will get an idea how you will be evaluated in the final examination. So pass the message to everyone. Tomorrow we will have the classroom test, right? මේක මම දැන් ඊසතිය announce කරලා තිබුණා, right? So ඒක message එක අනිත් pass කරන්න 10 marks classroom test එක හෙට තියෙනවා, right? Okay. With that, you can have the lunch break. So we'll wind up. Thank you.